Some guy had gone from a scrum, hit his head, knocked out, foaming at the mouth. As a 21-year-old guy, I'm the only person responsible for this person. If it's type 2 diabetes, super simple. You lose 10% of your body weight, you reduce your diabetes type 2. Dropping 10%. So if you're 100 kilos, drop 10 kilos, done. 50 kilos, drop 5 kilos, done. I think the biggest thing around from what I've worked with for the last 5 years is once you start accepting the pill culture of metformin and I'm just going to take this, I'm just going to take that to solve it, you negate the responsibility to make the change. My boy Majid, he signed up in November, really got cold feet at the beginning, didn't want to do it, literally emailed me, said, I want to cancel, I don't think this is right for me. I said, dude, let's just take the first step forwards. 6 months later, he was 42 kilos down. For females going through menopause who lose bone density by percentages, remarkable percentages every single year, by resistance training, you reduce the onset of that bone density. So you can't do that by nutrition. Your bone density is going to go down like this, but if you resist train, it goes down like this, and it might not go all the way down. When we get a lady on board, then get a husband, then get their auntie, and you can see these generational changes. There's nothing better than changing habitual across generations.
Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of the Brick by Brick podcast. Today we've got a very special guest for you. I feel like this guest will give us a lot of information because as we've gone on this podcast journey, every episode we've realized that we need certain things, the community needs certain things, and the general public need to be aware of certain things that they can do and the information that they can take to implement into their lives. So without further ado, our guest is a fat loss expert and personal trainer, Nathan Johnson. How's it going, Nathan? You all right?
Yeah, really appreciate you having me.
Nah, I appreciate your time as well. Yeah. Normally we ask, how was your travels coming into this? And most people say, I just drove in, half an hour, took the train. But yours was slightly different. Yep,
just hopping on an Emirates flight from Dubai. So yeah, only here for the weekend. So.
Okay, also you were down for just this? Or
no,
the VIP guests?
Yeah, obviously this is exactly why I came. No, I'm here for a conference tomorrow and Saturday, and then I'm flying out on Sunday.
Okay, nice. How is the Dubai lifestyle? You know, I know what we see on Instagram is glitz and glamour and influences. Is that how it really is?
Oh, there's a portion of that, but I mean, Dubai is one of those places where you can have life the way that you want it.
Okay.
So if you want to be chilled, save your money, you can do that.
Yeah.
But if you want to splash it all in a day, then you can also do that too.
Yeah.
So it's few and far between, and you get what you want and you get what you pay for.
Okay.
On both sides of the coin.
Yeah. Have you been there for, how long have you been?
So I lived there for a year in 2017 when I was setting up a gym in Dubai. And then after that, came back, did some traveling, then went back 2-3 years ago. So I've been there for now 3 years.
Okay, cool. Are you planning to, are you going to come back to London now, or is just Dubai is the one?
Not a chance. No, after paying 300 quid for a hotel in central London, I get 2 nights on the palm for that. So.
No, fair enough.
Yeah, not a chance.
But yeah, so I guess bringing it back to London or even UK. So what we like to do is, before we dive into the detail and all the deep information, we like to ask our guests, what was the experience like growing up? So same to you, what was your experiences growing up, where you're from, school, college, etc.?
Yeah, so I'm originally from between Liverpool and Manchester, so proper north, rugby town, that type of lifestyle. But I think maybe the 2 things that I had when I was younger was 6 years old, I twisted my knee, got septic arthritis.
Oh, wow.
So basically what that means is basically your bone and doubles in size. So there was an infection that had multiple surgeries when I was younger.
At 6?
At 6, 7 years old. Yeah, fell over in the back garden. Thought nothing of it. Next minute I was in hospital for months.
Mm-hmm.
So for my childhood, it was very much lots of trauma in my own sense.
Mm-hmm.
As everyone does, you want to play sports when you're younger.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't playing sports. I was just eating biscuits and playing PS2, which was fantastic for the time. And basically that's how my younger years started. It was basically just a lot of not being able to do what everyone else was doing, and then playing a lot of video games and eating biscuits.
Oh, okay.
So then when I came to second years, high school, stuff like that, wanted to get into shape because I'd gained a lot of weight, realised that 2 packs of biscuits after me playing 4 hours of PS2 wasn't a great idea, and started on my journey of kind of trying to reduce my own body weight. And both my parents, my mother is a nurse, and then my dad is like one of these guys that I call it, give you your last Rolo. So it doesn't matter what it is, he'll help you. So I've always had this helping mindset from both a nurse and then a dad that was just always like he'd give everything to everybody else. So it led me down the path of wanting to go down the path of helping other people. So I had a knee injury. I wanted to be a physio because I wanted to help myself, because most people when they go into like passion-based projects, they normally do it to solve their own the younger years. 100%. So you try and solve a problem for you 10 years ago or 15 years ago. So that's how it led me into my younger years. But outside of that, there was very much nothing else going on apart from eating.
Fair enough.
My family are a large family in terms of like levels of body weight and their habits, definitely. So as I grew up, I realized that the habits that I had weren't conducive to not being larger over time. So I had to change those.
So did, I guess, your passion for becoming someone in the fitness industry, did that materialize in terms of like university, like and like going forward from that?
So I actually didn't have any intentions of being in the fitness industry.
So
I wanted to be a physiotherapist. I did some like work experience with my mum, and then after that I just wanted to be a physio. Now, because of all that video games, I didn't really study. So I didn't really take it seriously. So I ended up not being able to go to physiotherapy at university, and ended up having to do it another year at college because I flunked the AS levels or whatever it used to be called at that point. And then I had to do a BTEC. And at that moment in time, when I couldn't do physiotherapy, my next outlet was, well, I'm going to have to do something in sport because that's the only other option. I ain't doing I'm no suit and tie. Luckily, I'm not wearing flip-flops today. I'll tell you that for free. Like, my missus always says, like, you can't go and do podcasting in your flip-flops. So I'm like, that's what I want. That's the life I want.
That's you, innit?
That's me. That's me. So luckily, I've got jeans on. So that's the life I wanted. So I went down that path. I just knew I needed to help. I didn't know what avenue I wanted to do it in until I did that BTEC, which changed the game for me. I don't know if you've ever had one of those moments where you've never been really engaged in anything, but then that moment when you find an outlet that you can then, you see yourself doing, I was zoned in. Actually studied day in, day out, put the PlayStation away and just went all in on it because I had an outlet. So. And
then you worked for like physiotherapy, I assume, and then you continued your journey into the fitness industry through that.
So university, I went to do a degree in sports rehabilitation at Middlesex. Ended up doing that, thinking I was going to go into sports, which I did. I worked for a rugby team clinic in Harrow, and then I did some sevens work, which is like rugby sevens, which is like small-sided games. Did that, realised dealing with grown men and their concussions and dislocated shoulders and away games in Jersey or Guernsey where you're responsible for 25 other people's like lives, and then you'd have to stay in hospital with them after days, wasn't really my bag. It was more of a case of I wanted to help people, but not at the expense of being like totally responsible for someone's life. There was a moment where some guy had gone from a scrum, hit his head, knocked out, foaming at the mouth. As a 21-year-old guy, I'm the only person responsible for this person. At that moment in time, I wasn't old enough to want to do that for a life. Plus, you have to work weekends and evenings, and that's a nightmare. So that I knocked that on the head. But say all that to say this is like when I got that job and I was doing those jobs, I had to get another job to stay in London because it's damn expensive. So I had to become a personal trainer to be able to sustain the sports rehab dream that I had. And then I ended up just doing the normal day job and really liking it better than the other stuff. So then I worked in Nuffield Health in one of the banks. It was Morgan Stanley in Canary Wharf. So they've got a gym at the bottom, and then people come down and they go to the gym and stuff like that.
So what's the difference between that? What made you choose that path of personal training? I know you prefer that to become a physio, but what aspects of personal training gave you that push to go in that direction?
It was just the pursuit of my own needs. So I was 85 kilos when I was like 14, 15, and I haven't grew any since, so I'm still 5'5". And I dropped 20 kilos, and then that was like one of my moments where I was like, oh, this is interesting. I like doing this. I like going to the gym. It's fun. I look better. I don't have to wear XL t-shirts, whatever it is. And that I've always been like the guy like gone with the wind. Like maybe it's my ADHD tendencies or whatever, but I'm like I just go and do something I really enjoy.
Okay.
And then I just did it.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents were like, okay, see when you get back, you'll go and do that university thing. Maybe you'll have a bedroom here if you want to. But that I just was like, I like training people. I get an enjoyment out of it. I'm wearing my flip flop still. And then after that, that's how it just, and then became again with that trigger of being like, I'm good at this. I enjoy it, and I'm all in on it. Well, let's just make it something I'm all in on and be good at it.
Yeah.
And that's how it stemmed, and I just tried to become really good at it.
Yeah. Okay. So from that sort of Nuffield time, then what was the journey from the start of your personal training journey to where you are now with autonomy? So what's that?
So it's about a 10-year timeline. So personal training in central London, working for a very premium transformation-based company, and basically it's large rates, corporate bankers, everyone that's got the money, come in, do 12-week transformations, they get amazing results over that time frame. So you get exposed to some really, really high net worth people, which is really cool. Yeah. But the place in the community is really good because you want the results as much as they do. You come in, set goal, set routine, really let's go and smash this. Yeah. After that, I moved online with one of our friends at the time. They were setting up a company for online, 2017 or something like that. Was new. Online coaching wasn't a thing. It was just personal training. It was just group classes, and it was Barry's boot camp or something like that. Yeah. But then these people started doing these online coaching where it was you could work with anybody in the world. And I was like, that's a really good idea. I can sit, I don't have to come in at 6 a.m. Yeah. I can sit and wear my flip-flops from my house. That sounds great. So I worked with them for 3 or 4 years or something like that, and then just wanted to kind of make my own on my own and deliver something a little bit different than what they had. But over that time period, the company that I used to work for, 90% of the people that I used to work for were South Asian. So over that time period, maybe 4 to 5 years, I got accustomed to first not knowing, didn't know anything about the cultural dynamics, didn't know about what I was walking into, and then I had to get good at it because I had to help people. Okay. So then over those 4 or 5 years, that's when I learned what I needed to do to help these individuals. Okay. And that's when autonomy was, after helping so many people, when I set on my own stuff, that's what people knew me for. Okay, I see. So autonomy is your thing. You're the founder. You're the creator. Yeah. What does autonomy offer? What does a program do? Let's say I signed up. Yeah. So I come to you as a South Asian. Yeah. What am I getting when I signed up? Yeah. Firstly, so effectively, our goal and our mission is to help you get in shape and stay in shape for life. Okay. So there's 2 aspects of it. One is the dieting side of things. So for your wedding, trying to look trim, for your holiday to Dubai, we'll get you in the amazing shape to do so. But where other diets fail and you normally gain it back, and you see Debbie who's done Weight Watchers and she gained 10 kilos again. Yeah. We focus all our attention on what happens afterwards. Mm-hmm. And our goal is to kick you out and you never work with us again. Because fitness is a skill, like learning Spanish, juggling, they're all skills that once you practice and you know how to do it, you don't need someone else to tell you how to do it. Okay. So I always had this thought process. During my 20s, I was like, why are these people here after 5 years still training in this gym? What are they doing? Mm-hmm. They're paying for me because they don't think they can do it by themselves. Mm-hmm. So I'm getting a cash in my pocket, and then people's business models are like that. But I'm like, well, why do you need me? Yeah. You shouldn't. If you can brush your teeth, you can pick your kids up from school, you can know a little bit about nutrition, and you can do it yourself. Yeah, if I could do that, I want to give everyone else the opportunity to do so. Yeah. So that's what we do. We just and help people get in shape. Then we keep them in shape whilst eating the traditional South Asian food, because that's a large missing piece to most people's diets when they do a diet from the community. And then afterwards, because we've done that, they don't have to have this life-altering change where they either do a diet or they gain 10 kilos. Mm-hmm. It's just seamless. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. No, that's pretty interesting. So one thing I was thinking about is you're an entrepreneur. What's the lifestyle like? Do you prefer the entrepreneurial lifestyle, working every single, sometimes you're working all the time, sometimes you got the flexibility. Mm-hmm. Do you prefer that to sort of back in the days when you had to get in at 6 a.m, for example? For me, I haven't noticed much of a difference because I always worked like I was an entrepreneur, but I didn't know any difference. I was just excited. Yeah. So I got in at 6, and the last person I was texting before bed was my clients to make sure they stuck on their diet for the day. To the dismay of the missus at the time, with 9:30 at night, she's like, "Why are you on your phone?" But all that time, I was just doing what I loved and just helping. Mm-hmm. So I just got this positive feedback, so I did more and more and more. Yeah. So the only difference between now and then is responsibility and I've got something to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Beforehand I was like, I'm working for someone else on someone else's dime. Now it's
Yeah.
like high pressure situations and responsibilities and stuff like that.
Yeah, I hear you. And I think how we sort of got in touch was through AJ. AJ was did he sign up to you?
Yeah, so he's been I've known him for years, and over the course of that time period, he's lost over 20 kilos, looks incredible shape.
Amazing.
He came on to do another photo shoot last year, looked incredible, and then I knew that we knew each other back in a couple of years ago, and he always had the idea of wanting to be a coach. Did some qualifications or thought about it. I was like, well, you know how to do it. There's a lot of experience through doing that most people don't have. And that empathy and understanding to know what someone's going through can only be taught by you going through the same journey.
Yes.
It's relatable.
Yeah.
Most people just need a relatable person to tell them what's going to happen, how it's going to do it, how you're going to feel, how to get around it. And then, he's a really good coach. Good coach.
No, he's good. Yeah, shout out AJ. He made this happen. And
Yeah.
it was quality. And unfortunately, he couldn't be here today. We planned to get him on, but unfortunately, he couldn't come on.
Yeah.
But so I got a friend that is in autonomy, and he works with AJ.
Yeah.
He looks amazing. He went to that conference on, I think it was
the
Saturday?
meetup on
Saturday.
Saturday.
The meetup. Yeah, he looks quality, and he looks really good. So if we sign up with you, then am I working with you? Am I working with AJ? Or do you do it on personality? How do you matchmake sort of trainers?
So in 3 steps. So firstly, I would love to coach, but I just can't anymore.
Yeah.
So I only take a few on, and mainly it's favors to people that have been in, people that just contact me directly and say, hey, you owe me one, go and work with this guy. I'm like, okay, fine. So it's normally my team. So my team, we've got 7 people in the team now. And they just take all the coaching, but equally it's based on personality typing, goals, any previous stuff. So for example, if the lady's going through menopause or has particular stuff with her cycle, then we'll give her to a female specialist.
Okay.
If we've got a guy that needs a bit of a tough love, needs to kick up the butt, then I'll probably give him to my boy Declan. He knows how to do that. Yeah.
One of my friends is with Declan.
Yeah.
He does need a kick up the butt sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. So there's plenty of different ways to do things, but it's just about personality typing and communication. All the guys are great at coaching, but you gel with different people, right?
Yeah, 100%. So moving into more depth in autonomy, you said that you specialize in South Asians, right?
Yeah.
So why is a white guy from up north
Yeah.
dealing with South Asians? Because for me personally, so I've got a few friends that have been gymming since they're a couple of years older than me. So I look up to them for gym stuff. They started gym 2 years before me. One of them is ripped. One of them's larger, but he lifts a lot and he knows when to diet when he needs to. So I always look up to them, and when I train with them, I take in all the information that they're giving me and the exercises. I'll go do my own thing because they live a bit far. Yeah. Sometimes I train with them, etc. So there was a time where I was like, I can't be bothered to travel an hour, because I used to do that. I was in my first year of uni, had no responsibilities, had no life. I'd go out, travel an hour to an amateur bodybuilder's gym, train amazing, and then come back an hour. And then suddenly life happens. You ain't
traveling there now for nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about getting a personal trainer, but the person that I would look at is someone who's the same color as me, who understands. I feel would understand me, because I could put my issues and my hurdles that I have, and he would understand. He wouldn't. I wouldn't need to educate him. Yeah. So, like I said, why is a white guy from up north specializing in South Asians?
Yeah. So it wasn't something I intended to do, but 4 years ago, I was working with that company that specialised in South Asians. So to be good at my job, I had to understand what was holding them back. To be able to get the body to do what you need to do, you need to understand what the mind needs to do. Yeah. And the problems aren't specifically different, and I categorise them in cultural ones, habitual ones. But when you break down A plus B equals C, we all have emotions, we all have habits, we all have feelings, and we all have thought processes. And when you can navigate things, you can understand it and reverse engineer them. So, for example, loving food and the different types of food, is understanding the dynamics and the small nuances. Once you have that, the same principles apply to everybody. You just need to understand the base levels. But because I've worked with near over 1,000 South Asian people, and problems weekly coming, wedding season, family stuff, mumsy, this, that, all that type of stuff. If you want to be good at something, you have to find a way around it. And that's all I did. I just absorbed people's problems and thought, well, I'm not going to blame it and say, oh, I don't know. Or I'm not going to go, oh, well, go and speak to him. I'm going to go, well, let me see what I can do. So we tried a few things, realized that I wasn't too different. Like I still used to struggle with just eating one plate of food, or my portion sizes, or saying no to my mum and dad. You know, I've had arguments with my parents like everybody else has about food, and I realized that I wasn't so different. And then that's how it became a thing, where it's just like I gave someone something to do, they came back and said it was a useful strategy, and then over time they referred their friends and friends and friends, and then that's what we do now, you know, because if you want to help somebody, and I can see the effects that we have in families, we have, you know, when we get a lady on board, then get a husband, then get their auntie, and you can see these generational changes. There's nothing better than changing habitual across generations, regardless of skin color or anything like that.
Definitely.
And I think if you can go an inch wide and a mile deep on something, you can become great. You know, David Beckham, great at free kicks. I don't know how good he was as a normal player, but like you guys will probably know better than I do. You know, you remember one thing about somebody, and this was the thing I've been doing for 5 years. And I thought I can change it now and worry about what people think. 'Cause trust me, I get it all the time, every day, whatever it is, whatever the comments are, racist or whatever that we get. But I can be great at something and not give a shit, you know. And you know, there's a reason why my clients call me a reverse coconut. They literally do. They literally call me a reverse coconut. Like I've got texts. It's like, you know, you're more brown than I am, and I'm like, I wish I could show these people without people like getting offended. But like, I always say to the people that ask that same question, I'm like, well, if you know how much I care and what strategies we utilize, you won't care about the skin color that I've got. 100%. And in 3 months' time, you're going to be laughing, knowing that was a barrier for most people, and you jumped over, and now you see that we've helped. You know, the track record is key. All the track record came from a white dude. You know, so it can't be that bad. You know?
Exactly. And like I was thinking about it as well. It's like if someone came to me, I have no qualifications. I feel like I've been doing it for long enough, and I live my life 24 hours a day, 365 days a year as a South Asian guy. So I feel like I could help some way, shape or form. I guess yours came through your knowledge base is what I'm trying to say, is that your knowledge base just purely came through trial and error, right? Yeah,
it came through looking at it from a non-emotional standpoint with no preconceived ideas of what was right and what was wrong or what the auntie said to me 10 years ago. And sometimes when you come from a position where you're not in the circle and you can see the whole circle, sometimes you can point out things that people are missing in terms of blind spots. Because if some people are like, I love food, but then there are also coaches like, I love food too, because he's like, they're from the same culture, then he's going to miss blind spots about that client that could help him move, because he might be struggling with it too. So I think there's a value to taking a outside approach, but it's equally not me saying like, oh, that's bad or that's good. I love something that's super, super conducive to a very good lifestyle. But when you're looking at like getting a result, it's an A plus B mindset. As you know, it's logical, and some of the stuff we have to look at and go, these are not conducive, regardless of skin color, regardless of culture. They're not conducive to the end result. You know, if A plus B equals C is equaling pre-diabetes at the moment, we probably want to do D and F. You know, so it's sometimes it's looking at the logic behind it and not looking at like being wrapped up by what happened before us.
Okay. So. Yeah, it's good you mentioned diabetes. That was my next question. As a South Asian, we know someone who's got diabetes. Half the time we're probably related to immediate family that has diabetes. What can we fundamentally do in a nutshell? We could probably speak about diabetes for an hour, 2 hours, but what fundamentally is there what information could you provide that would reduce the number of diabetes, even be reversing diabetes?
Yeah, if it's type 2 diabetes, super, super simple. Research is super clear. You lose 10% of your body weight, in 80% of the cases, you reduce your diabetes type 2. Dropping 10%. So if you're 100 kilos, drop 10 kilos, done. 50 kilos, drop 5 kilos, done. So it's relative. Type 2 is mostly relative to lifestyle factors. But it's actually all related to lifestyle factors. Type 1 is more like where you grow up with it and stuff like that. Type 2, all lifestyle. So things that affect blood sugar is obesity levels, how well you sleep, how much food you eat, when you eat it, and how you chew food and stuff like that, water, fiber. But reality is if you drop a bunch of weight, you reverse it. 2 is that you exercise so that the insulin goes somewhere, as opposed to just being in your bloodstream, because it's called blood sugar. So you've got plenty of high blood sugar, it just needs somewhere to go. So if you're not exercising, it's just not going to go into the muscle tissue that the blood is pumping around the body.
Yeah.
So you need to move your body, and you need to drop 10%, and majority of will go away. But I think, obviously, I think the biggest thing around from I've worked with like for the last 5 years is once you start accepting the pill culture of like metformin, and I'm just going to take this, I'm just going to take that to solve it, you negate the responsibility to make the change.
Yes.
And I think that's a large thing within the community as well. It's like, you call it like popping pills with like, your aunties, like, oh, I've got this one, I've got this one, I've got this one. It's like, oh, do you want to swap? Literally. Like,
I've got a pill boxes for the days.
Yeah, like, I've got this one, do you want to swap? We'll have a good time. It's like being in Printworks around the corner, isn't it? But it's like, if you don't accept the pill culture and you accept responsibility and change, which is hard, I understand, then you don't have to worry about the future to some degree. Because a large part of like the genetic side of things is like, we could argue until blue into the face whether predisposed body weight is going to be in the midsection, is it going to be high cholesterol, is it going to be blood sugar? But the thing that you have to ask yourself is like, and then what? So you get diagnosed with it, you've got this, predisposed to it or not, but then you've got it, what are you going to do about it? And that's what we teach our clients is like, what are you going to do about it on your side? Because you have to take responsibility. So you can't just pop a pill and expect it to go away. So anyway, I ramble on this type of subject, but like it's literally just like you lose the weight, you take a load off your body, obesity goes down, blood sugar management gets better just by the level of body weight that you have. And then you exercise and do some movement. Just, I don't care what it is. It doesn't have to be a special routine in the gym and biceps and triceps. It's just like, if you just go, put your shoes on, go for a walk, round the garden, round the house, you can save yourself a lot of time and issues. Yeah,
I think accountability is massive. I think nowadays, even just in life here, sometimes we just accept something's gone wrong and you just leave it. And you just like, you don't take ownership of it. You don't want to change it. I guess people signing up to you is just the first sort of step to, to taking accountability 100%. And I feel like sometimes we get comfortable. Like we know people that are just, this is my situation, I'm going to leave it, whatever. Again, the pill culture is actually quite true. We don't think about it, but it's like we seem like, even like fat loss pills and all that, we're just like, I'm fat, I don't want to put effort in. Let me just pop some pills in my mouth. So,
The amount of times that I've like you say to people like jokingly on calls, it's like, what would you rather do? Would you rather like take your Rotley down from 6 to 3, or would you rather take the Ozempic? And they'd be like, I'd rather take the Ozempic. It's like you want to inject yourself rather than taking 3 less Rotley. It's like, come on, G, like three's enough,
Yeah, 3's a decent amount. My record is actually 15.
That's a solid amount.
That's a mad amount. It was a decent size one. The diameter was decent.
Have you done like a Panipura challenge?
No.
So when we went to, I've been to India obviously because obviously I had to go. So we're in Mumbai, and obviously I'd like read the whole like Shantaram book and everything. Like I'd gone down the whole route of like going all in on Mumbai. So we went to like obviously we went to Delhi and then Goa and then Mumbai, and we're sitting at like the Taj Palace because we were going for like one day. So we're like, right, we have to go to Taj Palace. So sitting in Taj Palace, and then they'd seen a white guy and they're like, right, we need to educate him. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'm just gonna sit here and just let you feed me. So I literally did, and he was just like Panipura, and there was a guy next to me literally just belting like 30 to 40 of them, and I've seen it on YouTube, like the guys go around like Mumbai and then just like do these challenges. Crazy. Tasty as hell.
I went recently India, and then I spent a few days in Ahmedabad, and like, because it's different here, you expect your food to be clean if you're eating somewhere, but street food is anything goes. And I was like, you know what, I flew like 9 hours to get here. I've got a free day tomorrow. If I'm sick, I've got tomorrow to recover. I'm alright. So I was going to eat somewhere anyway, and I was like, I saw Pani Puri stand. I'm like, let me just have it. The guy dunked full Pani covered in the puri, and then I had it, and then my inside just fire everywhere. I've had hot chilies, straight down the gullet, and it's just this burns, This one was crazy. Everything, my arm started to burn. It's just like it spread like some sort of like disease or something. It was mad. India's built different, and the water is probably reused from like a few weeks ago or something.
100%.
It's all part of the experience.
Of course, If you don't go and you don't like have a problem with your digestive system, you didn't really go.
Exactly.
That's it. I dropped like 5 kilos. It was great. So it's fine.
No, fair enough. And going sort of into the South Asian culture, like, it's very unique in the style that we're very like hearty soul food, like lovingly, like feed people. Like we love to host. Like my mum is the same. My grandma's the same. My friends' moms are the same. You just go to their house, go there and you just end up leaving like 1 kg, 2 kgs
Yeah.
heavier, because even if you've eaten, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You can have a second dinner, it's cool.
Yeah.
What specifically about South Asian culture is different to other cultures which needs a fix?
I don't think it needs to be fixed.
Mhm.
I think if you want to make changes to fat loss, like levels of obesity that you have, I think you should make some different choices.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say anyone needs to change anything.
Okay.
It's just the ramifications of a process. I have to be obviously careful. I can't say, hey, you need to change this, this, and this, because I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But like, if you want a different outcome, you have to change the input. So, like, for example, if you don't want the obesity, the pre-diabetes, the stuff like that, then we have to look at maybe portion sizes. I think the relationship with food is massive.
Yeah.
I think it is everything. And I've never had that growing up. I never like kind of had that where it was like we sit down and this is food. But having had that experience over the last 5 to 6 years, it's like food is everything. Food is joyful occasions, negative occasions, amazing occasions. It is the occasion.
Yeah.
And it has the tip of like excitement and a tip of like a really, really positive enjoyment times.
Yeah.
And then it's also really important to the elder generation because they're delivering it to you, which means there's a level of responsibility that people take when someone offers you food.
Yeah.
Because they're like, I don't want to, disrespect. I don't want to be, rude. There's large amounts of that goes on. And I think when it is life and when it is like enjoyment, when everything's wrapped up around it, it's hard to escape what everyone else is doing if you want a different input.
Yep.
So I think the portion sizes, the level of like enjoyment with being stuffed, that's a big one. So
Yeah.
I went through loads of diets and I had that relationship for like maybe 3 years. I had to get myself out of it because
So you would just want to be fully like to the brim.
yeah.
Just for
So
that.
like literally pick the biggest thing on the menu.
Yeah,
It was after
okay.
a really big diet, like had veins on my abs where your hunger is meant to be really crazy.
Yeah.
But that's what most like large people that we work with, they have that relationship
Okay.
since 7.
Yeah. Oh,
where they're like,
okay.
I have to, when I have a meal, I have to feel stuffed
Uh-huh.
because that's enjoyment to me.
Mhm.
And that's where the people that are in the, the plus 120, 130 kilos, that's their relationship with food where like, I have to be this way every meal. Otherwise life's going to end.
Yeah.
So I think those are really important factors. I think the relationship with like, dieting is also something that needs to like look at changing, is because we don't look at dieting as like a positive. We always look at it as negative, whether it is like the facial features start popping out, like, or is it like I've wrote like a caption that like a long time ago is like a chubby face doesn't mean healthy, but there is that association with that. And we can categorically say from like BMI perspective and body weight perspective and like looking at what is healthy, that higher BMIs are not going to be healthy, where your cheeks will be fuller, will be stuff. So it's the relationship between what happens when they get that position. So for example, like if you did it and you got those, the comments that you would get would be massively negative, which would then discourage someone from being that way, and it would make them hard to continue on doing that, which means that habits that would have been gratified and like positive end up being negative. So you go into like a negative feedback loop instead of a positive feedback loop.
Okay.
Whereas some people will congratulate you for losing weight. It's actually the opposite.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah. So my brother, when he got married, he did it. He did it in an unsustainable way. He did the milkshakes on Cambridge diet.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, he got there. He did some hard stuff, and it's not the best way to go. We sort of know that. But like you said, it brought me back to that time when he got married. He actually weighed less than me with the same height, and so it's not like I've got an advantage to be like heavier or he has either. We're both the same height. So, and he's always been heavier than me. But on his wedding day, he was 1 kilo lighter than me, and I was like, that's mad. But I was like, you smashed it. Like, you look amazing. But other comments he got was, you look ill. Like, why did you do it? You don't look right. But yeah, it's true. And then it puts you back on it. So, oh, did I actually do the right thing?
Yeah, it makes you question your own decisions.
100%.
Which, if you were in a room by yourself, which is when people that come on board with us, they're in a room by themselves and they're talking to us about their problems. They make a decision that they want to come on board. They make the decision. Yeah. But then as soon as the door opens and other people's opinions start rolling in, they start questioning, because the priority of those people that walked in. If it's mumsy, if it's auntie that you look up to, that you listen to, that you respect, they probably directed you around your career path and who to look at and all that type of stuff, food they're eating, they're taking care of you. when it comes to dieting, you're still going to listen because they are your parents.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good like respect to have.
Yeah.
But I think when it's something of your own personal stuff, I think maybe that needs to be looked at as like you should be able to do what you want and make your own mistakes if that is a mistake.
100%. And South Asian culture is a culture where you have to feel loved by the public, that you have to hold a certain name, or if you have to be a certain way to uphold your dad's name or your family name, and you feel like you need the approval of people, so that can definitely change your actions and people's perceptions of you. But 100%. And sort of linking to the wedding thing with my brother, weddings are a massive thing in Indian culture. I mean, like I don't think he minds me saying this, but as soon as he had a daughter, he opened a bank account for her and started putting money in aside just for the wedding, because that's what you just have to do in our culture. Weddings are massive. You call loads of people. It's an occasion to celebrate with friends, family, loved ones, loads of people. But with that, part of the occasion is food. So I'm getting married next month. My events span. I've got 5 events, and they span over a week and a half, 2 weeks. What food is a big thing for us. We don't drink and stuff, so we've put more emphasis on food. As a groom or as someone trying to look trim for a wedding, what do you do? Because everything's just about food. Like, what do you actually do? Because I'm scared now that my event that's 2 weeks after, I'm not going to fit it into my trousers because they're tight as it is. But I'm scared I'm going to get overfed from here. That I have no option but to get a different pair of trousers. Or what do we do? Because it's called wedding season for a reason. Like, I know 3 people that are getting married the same day as me. So it just gives you an extent of the summer. The Indian summer is just so packed out with weddings. And again, if a wedding lasts a week and you've got multiple weddings in a summer, you've got so many weeks of food to look forward to. So what does a groom, what does close friends and family, what does people that want to stay in shape, what do they do during wedding season?
It all comes down to priorities. And what I mean by that is, if it's your wedding, no way you'd be dieting over that time period. We'll teach people to do what they want. So I think you have to have like a ranking system, which I teach the clients. It's like your things. It's your birthday. It's whatever. It's a celebration of like you graduated or something like that. You got a new job. That's your things. You've got close family stuff, and then you've got people that you kind of go into stuff because you kind of have to, or like you feel face that you have to. Like, everyone's got them, right? You got that auntie or something like that. The other cousins that you don't really want to go and speak to. Like, everyone's got them. So like the third one, if you go into a wedding that is like, I could take it or leave it, but I have to go, you should be looking to prioritize that as something where you eat the best that you can do. And I'll explain strategies around that. Stuff where it's close friends, it's pick or choose. It's like, can I enjoy this without having 4 plates of food? And if the answer is yes, probably don't have one plate of food. I'll talk about the strategies later. But your stuff, when food is highest emotions and you're going to be of the highest emotions, I don't think you play with it. I think you should, if anyone's doing the wedding stuff, when you're the person that everyone's looking at, should have done the work 8 weeks, 12 weeks before. 100%. That's the reality of that one. And quick tip on stuff like that, with the getting the wedding suit sorted, you should have your end of your diet the date that you get your suit fitted, not the day of your wedding. Because you want to diet until you get the suit fitting, and after that you don't want to make any more alterations. People kill you for that shit as well. And I get so many complaints about that. I've got to get it in. My mum doing it at 12 o'clock at night and stuff like that. She's like, the wedding's tomorrow. Like, okay, do it the day that you get the last fitting, and then after that you maintain, so that you're not going into this wedding, if you're the bride or groom, you're not going into this wedding starving, deprived, feeling like you need to smash something because you've been dieting for so long. You go into it neutral because you've had a period where you're not overly thinking about food. So that's how you start. That's an easy way to do it. So, and then you've got your stuff, the close friend stuff, and then the stuff that you're obliged to do. That stuff you would be looking at being like super disciplined. So like, let's call it like the wedding that I went to recently was a Punjab wedding. So booze was off the chain, and then 3 courses, starters, main, desserts. So on that day, you would have like small breakfast, you stay active. So for example, if you're like 80 kilos, for example, just rough guess, perfect.
82.
Got it. Yeah. Been looking at guys for too long, you know. Maybe I don't say that too loud. 80, 82. So let's say, for example, you do 10,000 steps on a day-to-day basis. You probably burn about 300-400 calories. Not that much, not impressive, maybe 500. But that 500 wiggle room is going to be important for when you have the booze later. So 5 G&Ts is like 500 calories. So if you go and get walking in the morning, you burn more calories so that you can then afford the scope later. So I wouldn't go and do crazy amounts, but just don't get lazy on the weddings weekends. So you get out, walk in the mornings, and then you then prepare for the afternoon stuff. Probably wouldn't have lunch, probably skip that lunch because you've had breakfast, have something that tide you over. And then when you get there, this is when the 3 categories really come to play. You got your stuff, do what you want, get Larry, dance on tables, don't care. Accept the consequences because you're having the perfect time with the perfect amount of food, enjoy yourself. 2 is close friends, is like have a plan in place where you're not taking the biscuit. Like if you know that you get Larry off 6 whiskies and number 7 you normally are out, you don't see, someone doesn't see you for 2 days, probably stay at 6. Because everyone's got that peak, haven't they? It's that guy you see, he had his knife beer, and then he's like, then the 10th one is where he's having kebab everyone's got a limit. Mine's like 4 G&Ts.
Oh, okay.
So like I'm a lightweight, I'm cheap date. So if you have a structure which like 4 G&Ts get me loose, have a really good time, but I don't need any more. It's the question between need and wants. If you think it's a need, but it's actually a want, I think that's where people need to distinguish between what do I actually need versus what I want. So if I need 4 to have a good time and 5 makes me eat doner kebab with my hands, I'm probably going to do 4, and then I'm going to have like I call it the 1 plate rule. I think if you can, this is what we use with all the clients, and everyone says like this is how you eat traditional South Asian food, regardless of what it is, whether it's like the dals and rices from all the way to the paneers, to everything that you can think of. I don't care about the calorie consumption, the oils that are utilized in it, but if you stick to a plate of food as opposed to 2 or 3 and you get what you want on the plate, you can't go wrong. Because what most people struggle with is a definite end to a meal, because there's a sweet after the meal, or there's a second helping because someone says, oh, let me have a bit of this. But if you go 1 plate of food and that's a definitive end, most people need a deadline, whether it's fat loss, whether it's the work deadlines, whether it's like be here at 1:30, people need a deadline. It's psychology. But if you have a plate and it's finished, no matter what you want to do after that first plate, you finish. And that's how you look after the balance in between going way too over or not going too over. So that was a long ramble, but that's like that's the enjoy yourself with the food that's there. You don't have to stress about the calories. You just have a plate because it's portioned. Then the third one is like where you start really being like nitpicky with the food choices because you want to diet and you don't really care about their event. But that's where you get like more specialists, like eat less, eat more salad, less samosas.
It's all about, I guess, prepping yourself and setting yourself up for being sort of for the evening. Anyway, like even with me, like if I'm going out with the missus and we're going to eat somewhere, I'll just be like, okay, cool. I don't eat breakfast anyway. I'll have coffee or something, and then I might have fruit for lunch, and then I'll go to the gym, and then my meal comes in the evening. So it's like you're setting yourself up, you're prepping yourself for what you're about to do. You know what you're going to do, but I guess it comes with planning. And which brings us nicely to the next thing is meal prepping and planning and weighing your food. So I guess the reason why I'm hosting and my brother's not is because for the last 4 months, 5 months, I've been just going through a mad journey of like, what do I do? Because I'm having a once in a lifetime event. Hopefully once in a lifetime, getting married.
Well, I mean, what's the divorce rate? 33? I don't know. Sorry.
apparently it's more divorce rate with love marriages. So I'm a bit.
Oh, I should have got the arranged one, shouldn't I?
But because it's going to be a once in a lifetime event, I'm like, I need to make sure everything's proper. I need to do everything preen and proper. I've been doing quite well. I feel like I don't need to say how much or whatever, but I feel like I've done all right. But sort of a little ramble is that I had an ACL injury 2 years ago, and then I had physio on and off, and then I had my surgery a year later, so last year, April, and then again changing physios, and I went originally back to my original physio. I went back to him because he was based really far. I couldn't see him twice a week. It didn't make sense. I only need to see him twice a month now, and he's the maddest physio. He's just too good, and he said that he'll just do my knee, but at the same time he'll do my upper body, my nutrition as well. And one thing he sort of made me do is he made me weigh my food, and it was unheard of. Like, you see people get scales and stuff. My sister-in-law told me, she's a baker, she's like, why did you buy a scale, bro? I was like, I want to weigh my food. She started laughing, bro. She's like, I need this scale, I'm a baker. So I need it. I'm going to use it. I was like, yeah, go for it. But like, we don't associate like dieting, like, even because I've been on this journey. I say it from February. I've been on this journey for 10 years. When you're a teenager, you want to go gym and you want to diet and stuff. I was a chubster before, and I would diet. I would do it in rough amounts, but the scale never came in. Yeah. What does the scale add? How important is it to get 100 grams of something rather than 200 grams or just handful, bang?
Because that's the assumption that your eyes are telling you the truth. Now, I don't recommend weighing food for everybody, but if you got to look at it this way, is when you go to a restaurant, who decides your portion sizes?
They do.
When your mumsy cooks your food at home, who decides your portion sizes?
You do.
Well, she does.
Well,
like if she was prepping the food.
Yeah.
When you were younger.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
When she was younger, right? So when you go out for dinner, when you get a BLT sandwich from Tesco, who decides that it's 2 slices or 3? They do, right? But none of them know your body weight and your goals.
Yeah.
And most people come to us, and like, for example, and say, I just want to know what portion sizes I need. I need to know what portion sizes is right for my body and what my body weight is. And then we tell them to, use the scales to make sure that we give you the right amount.
Yeah.
But that's when the resistance comes in with what's before us and why do I need to get analytical with it. Now, it's a great base to just alleviate eyes and alleviate anything that is guesstimated, because a handful, like a spoonful of peanut butter, and when it comes to food, is very much similar to stats around your money, which is a topic we love to hear, like talk about. It's like when we talk about savings, we got like clients, they love it, obviously. Would you forever just tap your card and hope that there's enough money on it?
No chance.
What if you do that? The ramifications are that you just tap and it gets declined, right? Because you've got zero.
Yeah.
But the ramification for that in fat loss is that you gain a small amount, death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
And then 6 months later, you're left tapping this card when it's unlimited. Because fat gain is unlimited. You can be 160 quick kilos really quickly. And you can just tap and use it. It's just a take with no give. So anyway, I say all that to say this is like, that's like one method that you can utilize to get your portion. It's absolutely not necessary. If you're looking for the most accurate and you're like, I want to be like my top saver, or I want to be like an accountant where I'm like, that's how you can weigh food. But I don't think it's necessary. But it's just because most people, that's how you diet if you're a white guy, bodybuilder, or you're on a strict, only know how to do exactly meal plan. It's not catered towards the people that we work with, or like yourself. It's like, how you're going to tell your mum to weigh your food? No, like she would slap, that's 100%. Like not a chance.
I've got the scale out in front of her.
And the scales be going out the window, and that's the resistance that we get is family members like your sister, like, was it sister?
Sister-in-law.
Yeah, so she's like, what are you doing with that, bro? Like, that's the resistance that stops people doing it. And then they have a plan, but then they have an action that is not the same because they're getting criticism, which it's not conformed to the social demands in the house. So it's different. So I think you've got that option of weighing food, which is not necessary, but it's accurate, which means if you want the best, do the best. Then you've got the middle ground, which is portion sizes. That's things like spoonfuls of, or packets of, or ones of, or threes of, like 3 Linda McCartneys, or 1 bagel, or a chicken breast, for example. That's where you start learning that. And then like 1 naan, or like 2 roti. Like, there's differences between the sizes of the rotis every single time, but it's not enough to care about if you don't want to weigh stuff. It's like your happy medium. It's like, I can't be over here. I can't just have what I want. But I don't want to be over here and do exactly the stats. I want to find a happy medium, and that's where you use ones of things, portions of things, spoonfuls of things. Like, for example, cereal. If you have cereal, you can use a bowl and use the same bowl every day, and you pour in roughly the same amount, you've got a portion. And if you want to lose some weight, you probably need to eat less of that bowl. Or if you're trying to, you want to eat more, you eat more of the bowl. So small portions anywhere like that. But it's not necessary. But it serves a purpose for an understanding. Because if you're way off, it's a knee jerk. Of being like, I'm like 250 grams out here.
I understand. So I think, let's say I'm coming to you now. We're going back to a client and sort of a trainer. So I've got a few dietary requirements, no meat, no fish, no eggs, no onion and garlic, like even to the extent no mushrooms and all of that stuff. So what can you do for me? So let's say I've given you this information. I'm signing up to Nathan
Yeah.
now. I need some help. What meal plan can you give me for my dietary requirements? Could you just take me through a rough
Yeah.
thing of what a few options I've got for breakfast, a few options for lunch,
Yeah.
a few options for dinner?
Yeah. So firstly, it's not as simple as that. But let's say, for example, if you're separate into two, if you're cooking all your own meals, we'll go down that route. If you're not cooking all your own meals, we have to go down that route because majority of people live at home and they're not cooking that evening meal.
Yeah.
Standard.
Yeah.
Right. So we can't have the same strategy, and this is a hard point. Is that most people have a strategy for this one, don't have a strategy for this one.
Yeah.
So if you're, let's say, for example, evening meal when mumsy's cooking, doesn't matter what it is. Again, that one plate rule, where you're having you look at your plate where the camera's there, and then maybe do some editing. And a quarter of the plate, split it into quarters.
Yeah.
Quarter of dal or protein, whatever it is, it can be anything. Chickpeas, example, and then you have rice, roti, and then veggies.
Okay.
If you can fit it into a quarter of your plate, you won't be far off, unless you're taking an absolute biscuit and it looks like this, like a volcano. But you'll know that you're taking a biscuit.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about her cooking or what the food is or whether it's to your requirements. Just have that one plate with that quarter thing, and you'll keep her happy and everyone else happy, and you'll be able to stick to your diet. The rest of the day then works back off that, because that will be more calories than if you were over here having spread amounts across the day where you can control every input that you have. You don't want to kind of have, that's more like probably going to be between 700 to 1,000 calories depending on what's being utilized, maybe less. And then you've got to work your days around it. Whereas this one, you could have 400, 400, 400, 400 and split it quite evenly. So on that day, breakfast options, anything from even gatia and chai. That's fine. You could have that as a snack. 30 grams is not going to get you that much, but that's gatia, chai, 2 sugars, and 30 grams of gatia is 300 calories. Okay. So you can have that as a snack or a breakfast option.
Even just you saying I can have gantia or something. Is
Or you should
something
see
different
on the call, that face, the one we you can have gantia, oh my god, he knows, that's it's a secret. That's literally that's exactly what the clients say when they come. It's what do you mean? But yeah, just having small things like that, and just being able to go all right, this is how much chevro I can have, or whatever, especially the Kenyan stuff, the good stuff.
Oh, Kenyan chevro is crazy.
Yeah, the first time I had that changed my life 3 years ago. I was traveling, went to go and see some clients over there, and then they I had it when I was there, and I had a pav bhaji, which changed my life, the Kenyan pav bhaji. Oh fuck, it's so good. And then again, I've got a couple of kilos after that one. And then on the way back, they said, here's some snacks for on the way back. Family box. Yeah. Finished it by the time I got home. There's people next to me looking at you like animal. You animal. I'm like that with the hands, spoon it in my mouth. Unbelievable. So when you break down the small things that are normally in the little cupboard that everyone's got, the little spice rack and everything like that, you put those in and people can see how that's a long-term thing. So it's never about the meal plan specifics. It's I want to keep what you've got, but I want to put it in the portion sizes that represent the goals that you have and the body weight that you want to be, not the portion sizes that someone else chose for you, as we spoke about before. Yes. And I think that's the realignment that most people need. They don't need a fancy milkshake diet. They don't need a milkshake diet. They need realignment of the stuff that they got already, and you need it in the portion sizes that is not pre-selected from people who don't know, but are selected from people who know their goals. Outside of that, you can get more minutiae and expert results and amazing things and get those 6-packs. But if you want 10 to 15 kilos off for most people, start there and walk more. Simple, really simple.
Yeah. No, I think it's quite refreshing to hear, because all you hear sometimes is you got to cut this out, you got to cut this out, got to cut this out. But I guess this is building for the long term, which allows you to kick someone out, which is still mad. It's amazing that you kick people out because they become self-sufficient after that. So I guess going on that and on the weight loss aspect of it, what's your biggest success story at Autonomy?
Oh, that's a good one. So I'll tell you two, because one guy is about to reach over it. So got Prakash, 51 kilos, unbelievable. He's 5'5" as well, so he's same size as me, but 70. He must have been 120 down to 70, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's hard.
That's half. That's literally just gone bang.
Yeah.
T-shirts. He came to the photo shoot. He did a photo shoot. T-shirts for 3XL. Now he's getting smaller mediums.
Oh man, that's crazy.
3 people who could fit in it. Me, him, and someone else.
Oh, yeah.
Mental. But then we've got my boy Majid, who really good story on him. So he signed up in November. Really got cold feet at the beginning. didn't want to do it. Literally emailed me, said, I want to cancel. I don't think this is right for me. I said, dude, I gave him like a pep talk. Like most of it, I was like, dude, this is when people make the most, let's just take the first step forwards. 6 months later, he was 42 kilos down. And he was quitting.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm done. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not giving you any more money. It's like giving the whole email. And I was like, dude, this is not the way we go. I spoke to Nicole. You were up for this. Let's do this. Start from 1 kilo.
Yeah.
Now I've got a video of him. Literally, he works as like a car mechanic.
Okay.
And they've got one of the drills. And every week he goes into work. He pulls his belt, and they give him a new belt hole.
Oh man.
He's down like 12 belt notches.
Oh, damn. Crazy.
And, like, it's just mental. And he's like giving away his clothes to people. And he's got like, he loves to take pictures. So he's like literally handing out his clothes to charity people because they're like tents.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're massive results.
So on that, it's like our topics are relating to my
there
next
we go.
question. It's perfect. It's
Joe
perfect.
Rogan
This
shit.
is
Yeah.
going.
Good.
It's going exactly how we planned it.
Yeah.
But so on the topic of quitting, so you said Majid nearly quit and stuff.
Yeah.
Is there like a common denominator with quitters? Because like it's so easy, and I'm a victim of it myself. I've spent money on someone telling me what to do and give me a plan, and I'm just like, nah. Because like even not just fat loss, like physio was the same thing. I accidentally signed up to an online physio. Long story. I paid my money for a 3-month contract. I told him, so when do I come see you? He's like, no, we're online. The brother's based in Isle of Wight. I'm like,
he's done you
I
there.
signed
It's
up already,
fantastic marketing there.
Whoops.
Good job.
Yeah, right. He's quite good. He's actually quite good. But I accidentally signed up for online. But he gave me a plan. And even though it's not nutrition based, it was physio based. I still didn't do it. I quit after a certain amount.
Mm-hmm.
What's the common denominator in people that quit with you give them something to do, they don't do it?
Yeah. Two big ones. One is the thing that they signed up for wasn't the thing that they thought it was going to be. Like that one.
Mm-hmm.
That's big because people have preconceived ideas. It's buyer's remorse. If you obviously you might guys have that too, but like when someone buys something, they have a built up expectation of what it's going to be. Then they receive the product, and then they're like, that wasn't what my dreams told me it was going to be. And then the difference between those two is then gone, well, I thought it was this, but it's actually that.
Yeah.
And that's just a gap. But that's not anything they can do or we can do. It's just like that's just marketing, sales, and content and stuff like that. We're buying a product. But the thing that we can control is their relationship with failure. That's one of the biggest things, is that they believe that whatever they're going to start, they're going to fail at, or it's too big of a task that they're going to not be able to do all of it, so they don't want to do anything. So it's that all or nothing mentality.
Okay.
That's the relationship with failure.
Yeah.
If you have an all or nothing mentality, you generally have a poor relationship with failure, because you're all in, which is great that you all their eggs in one basket, but as soon as like a micro fraction goes wrong, then you're all out. It's because you don't like to fail multiple times, so you'd rather not try at all.
Yeah.
So with the clients, it's actually more so the way that we combat that is like, firstly, we speak to them every single day and make sure that they're taking steps forwards. And it's not about throwing the kitchen sink. So the way that I like mastered your diet then in terms of like talking about the different foods and how to eat it, you just take it one step at a time. So like, cool, get some walking in. I don't care how much. Let's focus on diet first. Let's get mumsy's meal in the evening sorted. Let's get breakfast, lunch and dinner sorted. Let's have a structure. Start there. That'll be a big enough change as it is. And then we'll move from there. Most people start off with delusions of grandeur. It's called the oh shit moment, I call it. Yeah. It's when you start something and you're like, I'm going to do it, I'm going to smash it, and you overcommit to it. You put it in your diary for the next 21 days, I'm going to do this shake, this, that, this other, this paleo thing, I'm going to then go to the gym 40 days in a row. 3 days in, they don't want to go anymore, but because they've set themselves out this big goal, they then instantly feel like a failure. Yeah. So we actually stop people from setting massive goals. We're like, cool that you want to lose 20, start after 1. Yeah. Just give me 1, I'll give you 2, then I'll give you 3, then I'll give you 4. And I've got this thing with a lady called Bav, who she only came in to lose 10 kilos. She's a makeup artist, loves stuff, lawyer day by day. And I said, look, let's get to 10. Because she was like, I'm definitely going to hit 10. I'm like, okay, fine, let's get to 10. And she's like, okay, no more after that. I'm like, okay, fine. She got to that 10, and she's like, I want to lose more weight. I'm like, okay, fine. I said, just do one thing for me. Don't set another goal, just do 1 more kilo. Okay. And then because she had the mindset of 1 more, every week she came and reviewed and was like, okay, do I need any more? Shall I lose more weight? There's no pressure. Yeah. Versus a 10 kilo goal, there's a pressure. People, when they first start, don't need pressure, they need support. As they go through the process, they need a bit of pressure to make sure they finish it off. Yeah. So, I think most people's reason for quitting is their relationship with failure and not being able to break down the things that they need to do and put it into actionable steps. and then bite off too much than you chew.
Yeah. Is that your type of, I guess, leadership style or personal training style? Because some people are different. Some people are, they'll make you feel bad. They'll be like, oh, you messed up.
Yeah.
Go hurry up and fix up. Otherwise, get out. Or are you a bit more loving? Like you need. I guess you said it as in applying a bit of pressure. Is that the ideal way? You see?
I think both sides need to be done to some people.
Mm-hmm.
Like some people most guys need a loving arm, even though they think that they need a bit of a push in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
Most guys need like an arm around the shoulder. Most ladies need a push in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
But it's super general. But like all I'd say is like you either need one or the other, and I'll give you both. But if I degrade you for not doing the thing you need to do, then your relationship with me fails. So then you struggle to tell me stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can't fail together, we won't learn together.
Yeah.
So if you're failing in secret, that's a good line that I'll put on a t-shirt. But like if you fail secretly, you'll feel ashamed to tell me. But if we fail together and you're going to be super communicative because you know I'm there for you, then we can go, right, how did that go down? You had an extra piece of baklava. Or why? Or like, why did you have the dessert when Mumsy offered that?
Yeah.
Like, how have you learnt that relationship with no yet? What is the strategy that we need? Because like I said before, it's like logic. It's A plus B equals C, regardless of cultural dynamics, everything, habitual processes. It's like A plus B equals C. So where's the A? What specifically is the A? What specifically is the B? In terms of strategy, how do we get over it? But if you can't do that, if I'm compromising my relationship with a client to make myself feel like I'm Billy Big Bollocks. I've done that in the past. Like when I learned that when in my 20s.
Okay.
Like nearly got in a fight with a client because he was way more bullish than I was, and I tried to be that big dog.
Yeah.
No, investment bankers, guy in his 50s, traders when they used to be real traders, not like they're at home sitting in Dubai. Forex trader. No, I'm talking about guy who's up at 4 a.m. watching the stocks.
Yeah.
And then coming into the work and doing a 16-hour day, you don't want to fuck with those guys. And I tried to. And I learnt my lesson valuably. So sometimes you push it too hard as a coach, trying to find someone's gauge. But hopefully that answers your question.
No, 100%. And I guess it wouldn't be right if we didn't involve some construction, because we're a construction-based company. And one thing I was thinking about is that a lot of my dad's generation, and even, even the generation below that actually, and obviously our granddads, our forefathers, a lot of them worked in construction because they weren't educated, and even our ancestors as gutchis or gunbis as we call it, we weren't the most educated people. So you use your body and your physical to get your money. And like my dad's nearly 65, and the guy will just go on site and he'll just do what he needs to do, and it doesn't look like his body's going to give up on him. He'll come back, my back's saying, Mom, can you step on he'll ask my mom, can you step on my back, blah blah blah. But these guys are going and going and going, and it's like, I'm nearly 27, I can't even touch my toes, bro. Yeah. And I feel like I'm broken after doing a couple of deadlifts and stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the diet that from back in the days that they've just grown up with their nutrition being limited, because like in my dad's podcast, he spoke about moving to this country and he came with nothing. He stayed in a house full of 16 people, and all they could eat was khichdi. They could eat some saag maybe, and then they'll have bajra rotla or pearl millet flour. So that was just one rotlo, a little bit of saag, a little bit of khichdi, and it's almost like they still stay like that, and built this like man of steel or men of steel that can go on construction sites till they're 65, 70. Is that a thing? Like, is it because of that, or is it just the lifestyle or just the way they are mentality wise?
I think most of it comes down to what would you do if look at Conor McGregor. Mm-hmm. Like it's hard to get out of bed when you're what are the silk sheets, when you have silk pajamas, that's it, right? If your dad was in a situation where he had no other choice, that makes the best person to take action. Mm-hmm. So if he had to get out on those foods to go and work on the construction, he had no other option. Yeah. And I think I don't think it's food per se. I think obviously that is sustenance and it works. But if you're looking at the mindset that it takes to go from where he started to where he is, that's grit. And there's no other option. He has to make it work. Yeah. And, anything in making a business or, fat loss, your own stuff, the more opportunities you have to not have to do it, the more you'll give yourself the opportunity to do so. So I think as what you see is like that grit being by that generation. I always speak about this when Mrs. Women's speaking about like kids and stuff like that, living in Dubai, the wonderful life, and the kids know what Lamborghinis are and stuff like that. It's like they're not going to have any grit compared to me starting my own business or
100%.
me, going to university, traveling 300 miles. I don't know what the grit that my dad had when he worked on a farm, living raising cattle. I don't remember that. He knows what hard work is, physical labor. He had no other choice. He lived on a farm. I don't know his struggles, but then my kids don't know my struggles. And I think most of it comes down to grit and the ability to not have to. You got no other option. So,
if you had to give one message, rounding off the South Asian thing, look into that camera.
Is this where I get cancelled?
No, definitely not. You don't get cancelled.
Gotcha.
We're not that big time. But if you could give one message to the Desi moms and grandmas out there to say like, this is how you can help, or this is how you can support, or what maybe they need to do in terms of getting their son, their grandson, their relative, their results, how they can help, what would your message be?
Start with yourself. Well, that's the biggest person to start with. Be an example. I think even if you're 60 or 70, like, not to be morbid, but if you go and do 10,000 steps or 12,000 steps a day and you be active, you decrease your morbidity, so you're going to be able to see your grandkids way more, and then they're going to have a better life and pass over more generations and experiences. It's really steep, the decline. So if you look at the mortality rates on people who don't do exercise versus people who do 10 to 12 steps, it's 10 years.
Crazy.
It's crazy. Sorry. Yeah, so like start with yourself at 60 or 70. We have clients at 50, 60 doing their
really?
thing. And you get your weight off, you look after your portion sizes like I was speaking about before. You go and move 10,000 steps a day. Your risk of falls go down as well. So like in my work experience, when I was working under my mum, I was working as like a person that looked after the old people that were falling and like fracturing their hips and fracturing, and I had to do the rehabilitation for those. And when you do that, you realize like what is the leading factor into doing those, and it's literally, can they bring their leg above a step, or can they not, or are they active on a day-to-day basis? Okay, so getting down the tangent is like, if you can't raise your leg up and you can't do stairs and you can't walk consistently with your legs going like this, you'll have a risk of falling as well. So start with yourself, be the example, and there's nothing better than seeing a grandparent getting motivated. And I've seen loads of them before. They're doing the walks with the daughters and stuff like that. It's company, So start there, and then it'll chalk down just by. Here's another example. I know I waffle loads and tangents essential, but say for example, if we were in a kitchen right now, and we had a fruit bowl in the middle of this table, your kids are like infinitely less likely to be obese just because of that fruit bowl.
Oh, is it?
Because if
just by it being present,
by you taking stuff and eating fruit it being there, but like they tested it was like fruit bowl in the kitchen versus no fruit bowl in the kitchen families. Who's got the the levels of obesity of the kids, and they followed them for years and years and years afterwards. Habits start with you for the next generation afterwards. So, for example, like the things like make sure you eat all your food, or like eat more of this, eat more of this, eat more of this. They're the next generation. They're the cascading factors that happen. But the good ones, like going on walks with your kids, them seeing that you're making a change and going to the gym, or even just doing physical activity, them seeing you eating veggies for once in a while, you explaining why we're not having takeaway 4 times a week, or it's only a treat on the weekends as opposed to whenever they ask for it, or it's whenever it's convenient. They stay a long time. I've always had the opposite. I've always had the takeaway 3 or 4 nights a week, big portions, snacks whenever you want it, and that led me into a position where I had to reverse all my habits because of it. So only if there was some good ones, that
especially helps as well, because what a kid's first role model is their parents,
100%.
Especially on like even till they go secondary school and life comes and get external influences. But 100%, I guess if they see the parents doing it, they'll take action on themselves, and that's where you draw inspiration from. I guess whenever I look for, if I'm stuck in life and I feel like I'm going through something, I'm just like, bro, my dad he had like 100 times worse situation, and he had less help out there. He managed to see it through and excel exponentially. So my situation not that bad. So no, 100%. And so it was good to just round off the South Asian bit, and it's especially because it's such a big part of our audience, the South Asians, and that's what you're here for, a lot of it as well. And it's amazing to hear you say stuff like Gantia and Gemini. It's crazy, like. But this next part, I've got a lot of questions because you know, the food and fitness industry, yeah, is so like conflicted. Like literally what you say here today, tomorrow I'll go on TikTok and Instagram, someone will say complete opposite. And then I know who I want to listen to. I'll listen to you because you've got results, you've got expertise in this area. But there's so much misinformation out there, yeah. Anyone can just turn their TikTok on or Google something. First link says yes, second link says no. So it's just crazy out there. So what I've got a 30-second timer.
Okay.
And I just got quick fire questions that if you could just give us some insight on. Yeah. So I'll stop the time. Cool. So let me stop it. I'll start it after I said the question. So what's the significance of protein and how do vegetarians sort of replicate that? Because when you say high content of protein, you see meat, fish, eggs. How do vegetarians do that?
You either have to go down the route of mung dals, any lentils, chickpeas, more of the natural based ones. I'm a big fan of the mock stuff, but not all of the time. So like corn, Linda McCartney's, all that type of stuff. The importance of it, not only does it help with recovery, muscle tissue, but cognitive function, hair, skin and nails. It's really, really important to everything that we do. The things that protein gets broken down to are like ever present everywhere. So it's not just a case of muscle or no muscle, it's everything.
Quality. Oh, just on the face.
Fuck. Now I'm sweating.
So the next one is vegetarians obviously eat a lot of vegetables. That's that's a big part of it. What if someone just doesn't like vegetables? What do they do?
Make a decision. Do you want the benefits of veggies? If not, then suffer the consequences. Literally, or find a way to make them easier. So like, quick story, I'm not sure I'm going to get this. To be able to get kids to eat veggies, they put sugar on the veggies and then over time took the sugar away, then they were able to eat the veggies. Do the same with ketchup or any other sauce. Make it taste nice, then take it away over time and then you don't need as much.
Or within 30 seconds. He was like Eminem, bro, spitting those bars, bro, quick time. Next question is ghee actually good for you? Because I hear that I should put ghee on my stuff or I should cook in ghee compared to oils and stuff. It's just butter, no? Like butter is not technically good for you, it's clarified butter. So is it actually good for you?
There's no good or bad in anything. It's quantity or negative ramifications. It does have different smoking points and different things when you cook it, but reality is butter, olive oil, ghee, they all have different components that are beneficial. None of them are going to change your life, but if you eat too much of any of them, because fat, which is what they're made out of, has higher calories than carbs and protein, so you can overconsume calories massively on it. So that's the issue with most of the stuff with ghee, oils and butters.
Okay, perfect. Cool. Next one is, I came across this yesterday. I had a sweet tooth, 2 days ago, and then I put in my tracking app for calories. I put some Diet Coke. I put a Coke Zero in.
Yeah.
It said 0 fat, 0 carbs, 0 protein, 0 calories.
Yeah. Surely
something that good, tastes that good, can't be good for you, or is it actually not bad for you?
The negative parts of any type of diet stuff is the sweeteners, mainly aspartame. Aspartame, you'd have to drink over like 300 plus cans of Diet Coke in one day to have any sort of elevated dose. That would be anything negatory.
Okay.
So it's absolutely fantastic in dosages of less than 300. So you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Next one is, are there any superfoods that Asians aren't aware of, or South Asians aren't aware of, that we can just quickly implement in our foods to just get that nutritional boost or something?
No, best superfood that you can have is sleep better, get less body fat, and drink more water.
Perfect.
Yeah.
On the subject of water,
you can't buy that in Holland and Barrett's.
on the subject of water, I see water a lot like breathing, because in old school yogic principles, and we're breathing every day. We're just not doing it right. Once you do it right, there's infinite amounts of benefits. I see water as the same thing.
Yeah.
Water is, we're drinking it in almost all the time, but we don't get enough to reap the benefits.
Yeah.
What is the benefits of water?
Most of your body is relative to water, so it's everywhere in your brain, in your skin, in your muscle tissue. You need it to transport other stuff around your tissues and lubricate joints, for example. Being slightly dehydrated can also be the same as like reducing your cognitive function by like 50%. So dehydration is massive. It's more like not the benefits of hydration, but it's the negatives of dehydration.
Okay.
Quick one on that one. If you want to know how much water to drink, just drink until your pee is not luminous and it wants to be clear.
Okay.
Don't worry about 2, 3, 4 liters. If it looks like nuclear waste when you wee, drink more. If it looks like water and clear, don't drink it anymore. You're fine.
Cool.
Simple.
Perfect.
That's how, like, none of this 2, 3. Remember how many liters of water you're having. It's like, go and have a wee. If it's luminous, drink more.
And the last one is, what do you do when you're sick? I guess we can spend more than 30 seconds on this.
Okay.
This might be a bit longer. But when you're ill, you can't do everything. When I'm ill, the first thing is a bunch of toast and a bunch of Sprite, and you'll either fart out or everything will soak up and you'll be all right. How can you stay in your caloric deficit or be nutritionally sound whilst you're sick?
If you have a relationship where food makes your life better, you will probably eat more when you're sick because you're feeling rubbish to bring you back up to a normal level. So if your relationship with that it's harder to break someone's like that. I don't think there is like, if you can eat more veggies and you consume proteins and you can eat normal foods and not fall into the trap of being I'm sick so therefore if you don't have to say that, I don't think you'll have a problem. Even if it's toast, even if it's Sprite, it's cool. But if you fall into that trap of like I'm sick so therefore I get a Deliveroo, that's when it becomes more of a negative than a positive. I just think about it this way. If takeaway stuff or like booze, for example, makes it worse, even for a healthy body, why would you give that to a sick one? Here's a question. Here's the question that you ask yourself, if you want to go down that route, is like, what would I suggest to my lovely family member about what to eat when they're sick? And then do that, not what you will give yourself, because we'll more likely have care for other people than we will ourselves.
Yeah, 100%.
Banger.
No,
yeah,
absolutely. No, it's quality line. No, so that was good. I feel like we got so much information in that little section. But you've got that right on your Instagram page. You've got like, and even on YouTube, you've got like so many like shorts and reels about like quick solutions and things you can do to help. So we'll put your socials and stuff anyway.
Appreciate it.
In our links and stuff, and definitely get people to follow. Going on to sort of gym side now, obviously you're a personal trainer, and whilst you also look after people's nutrition, I can see you spend a lot of time in the gym. And what's the relationship? How important is it to mix gym / exercise with nutrition?
It depends on what your outcome that you want to have. Like, it's not absolutely essential, but again, if you don't do something, you bear the cost of it, right? Yeah. So let's 2 scenarios. You want to build muscle tissue or you want to get bigger visually. You have to go to the gym to do resistance training to get bigger. For females going through menopause who lose bone density by remarkable percentages every single year, by resistance training, you reduce the onset of that bone density.
Okay.
So you can't do that by nutrition. You can't just do that by eating some, calcium supplements. The only way to decrease the risk, your bone density is going to go down like this.
Yeah.
But if you resist training, it goes down like this, and it might not go all the way down. So for females, resistance training stops you breaking a hip in 10 years, and it stops the negative onset of those things. So exercising and resistance trainings makes you feel better cognitively. It stops that onset of those health conditions later down the line. So combining the two together, you get physical benefits, the activity, the joint stuff, the mind stuff, the health stuff, and then you get the nutrition vitality from that side.
So you're saying that when women go into menopause, let's say 55, 60, whatever it is, they should just be going to the gym and doing weights and not just cardio and stuff. They should, because we don't associate that. We're just like, oh, you're maybe a little bit more fragile, you're a lady, maybe you don't need to go to the gym, just go for a walk.
Yeah, no, they absolutely have to be. Not like, we're not talking like every session looks like Arnold back in the day, but we're talking like if you go and add some resistance to your day and exercise, that compression creates the change that is needed to either create new muscle tissue. Like most females, I know I've seen one of the questions before, so I was cheating, but like around like they don't want to get bulky and stuff like that. Yeah. I understand, and you will never get bulky. Like I've been trying for years. Like trust me, it's not happening, because you just don't have enough testosterone to create large levels of muscle tissue. You just don't. Most people, the reason why most people think like that is because they don't lose body fat as they get the muscle tissue, so that it just looks more pronounced.
Okay.
So if they lost the body fat, you would lose the bulk. I was going with that one. So they just need to go to the gym and get more muscle tissue, because if they don't, those joints are not going to be strong enough to support their structure over time. You get injuries, you get aches and pains, and then that osteoporosis happens over time too. So the loss of bone density. So you want to be resistance training to stop that as a female.
Yeah, because, and I come back to it, it's like, it's almost counterintuitive because let's say your knee's hurting, but I have to go and do squats to make my knee better. It just seems just so ridiculous because if your knee's hurting, why would you put more pressure on it? But obviously you have to do it to build your muscle, and exactly what you said before now. So that's qualities. And you answered the ladies thing. I think that's a question that it's a perception that a lot of people have, because like there's a lady called Natalia Amazonska. I don't know if you've seen her. She's like, I think that's her name, but she's like super bulky. She's been training for 15-20 years, and everyone thinks that if you start lifting weights for a year or two, you just become like that, and it's just not the case. No. It's just like you said, it's hard to do. Like you've been trying yourself, and it's just difficult. So I guess going to a more technical thing, you know the bro split. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, is you can just explain it, what a bro split is versus push pull legs.
Okay, so when you're doing exercise in the gym, you have a program, and a program is what you go and do in one specific session. So a bro split is when you've got all these different muscles in our body, we choose one of them and we just go to town on it. That's like a guy thing where you just like, right, let's go and smash this chest and it's going to grow afterwards. That's a bro split. And you do chest on a Monday because Monday's International Chest Day. Tuesday is normally planned for legs, but then you do something else because you don't want to do legs. So then that's shoulders or back, and you just compartmentalize your body into days. It's really simple, requires no thought. Versus an upper lower is basically where your program for the day has all of the upper in, anything above the waist, and then your lower is anything below the waist. That's simple. That's not simple, but that's what the programs are. So the differences between the two, when you look at if you're wanting to grow muscle tissue as the primary outcome of why you're going to go to the gym, it relies on two things. Volume of stimulus, so how many reps and sets that you do and how much weight that you do, versus how much frequency that you do it in. So everyone's got this one sorted, which is the bro split, which is volume. I'm going to smash the chest on one day and then leave it alone for 6 days. But what they forget is probably the biggest factor is stimulus of frequency. So if you can hit the same muscle group twice a week or 3 times a week, you get 3 times the stimulus. It's not like not 3x, but like it stimulates itself on a Monday, it stimulates on a Tuesday, Wednesday, and it stimulates on a Friday. And then the same metabolic processes happen 3 times instead of 1. So you're watering a plant frequently as opposed to watering it all on a Monday, drowning it, and then it gets dry for 6 days. Yeah.
So you prefer the push-pull legs sort of
method? I don't prefer. Growing muscle tissue prefers. Okay. So if you want the best tissue and want more tissue over time, more stimulus is in 2 to 3 sessions a week of the same muscle tissue is the best option.
Okay. And in terms of setting yourself up for the gym and sort of warming down from the gym, putting your body in the best sort of condition, we take supplements and etc. What's your thoughts on pre-workout? Some people take it, some people don't. Some people say, I want to be natural. And I don't take pre-workout, but I have a protein shake after, shove some creatine in it, and I feel like I hold a lot more water in my muscles and it's better for me. Well, what's your opinions on supplements in general?
So they have a place. A lot of people used to think like supplements are like you don't need them, you need to stay natural. It's a massive thing, but reality is like all these supplements are just most of them, 90% of them are just filtered down things that we already have within our bodies. They're just more at a higher level because we've either dropped them or we want them at a higher level. So creatine, really good example. As a veggie as well, absolutely essential because you don't have beef. Not everyone doesn't have beef, so therefore you don't have the creatine levels to replace. So therefore you're gonna lose. Basically, for anyone that's watching that's getting confused by me talking shit, is like basically creatine is between muscle tissue layers, and if you it makes it contract harder together when you have this thing in between. When that's deplenished because you're doing this all the time, is like then you don't have any left, so then you don't push them together, you don't contract as hard as you used to. So therefore, if you have it in between, it works harder. That's creatine, and it's like the most research-based supplement that helps build tissue. Pre-workouts wise. If you get a really bad one, it's just basically a black coffee, multiple black coffees in powder form that probably tastes like berry or tropical fruit. Yeah. If you get a good one, they normally have some type of mental cognitive function side of things called nootropics. Okay. They're really good. If you like going to work, like you go and do like a stressful day at work, and then you want to then go into a workout, they do have like really good benefits to kind of just like, I am zoning into this. There are things like they're called nootropics and amino acids, the things that come from protein, but in different levels.
Yeah.
They, at certain dosages, give you more mental clarity, more drive, less distractionless.
Yeah.
So there are massive benefits.
Mm.
If you're just going to the gym to move your body, don't bother. If you're doing it to like a strength goal or like to get stronger or to build more muscle tissue, or you need a pick-me-up in the afternoon and you don't want any coffee, then don't have a caffeine-free variation.
Mm-hmm.
They're always really good to separate. They're always good for mindset as well. Like if I've just had the Monster, shout out supplements for the Monsters, but like if I had the Monster to separate that, we're now doing the podcast.
Okay.
So that I can clarify, like, that's a clear start.
Yeah.
And then when the caffeine runs out, it'll be a clear end. But I had that to start this.
Okay.
Because I was like, I need a mental break, which starts by, there's a lot going on. It's new, like whatever. So that starts it, and then I'm in.
And I guess to round off this sort of the gym bit, almost brings it back to the start of where someone is in their gym journey. Is when you go into a gym, you feel like you get main character syndrome. You feel like everyone's looking at you. And I used to do it. Like when I used to go and I used to learn the exercises with my friends, I'm like, cool, my friends are doing it. It's appropriate. No one's going to film me and then going to put it on gym fails on Instagram. And you feel like you're being judged sometimes. Like if I do something like the classic one is people train their neck. People train their neck, and it's a thing in boxing and stuff. And people put it up, and it's a whole debate. But a lot of the culture comes from it's like a judging culture. You feel like someone's judging you because you're big and you're in a gym, or you're old and you go into a gym, or whatever. Like, is that really the case?
So I think what happens is that you feel that way, and then because you feel that way, you start looking out for people that are looking at you, and it ends up being this cycle where he's not looking at me, but I'm looking at him to see if he looks at me, and then I'm going to look at him, and then he looks back, and then now he's looking at me again. It's like this whole cat and mouse thing where you're like, they weren't doing what you said they were going to do, but because you're looking for it, they're now going to do exactly what you said they're going to do. Yeah. And I think it's what we do with people that have that kind of feeling. It's exposure therapy. It's exposure. It's like it will expose some of the things that you think about yourself, or even the way that you think about other people in scenarios like that. Like if you judge someone else for doing something wrong, you're more likely to think that other people are judging you because you might do something wrong. I do it all the time. I still feel I'm judging myself, even though I'm like, it's because I'm judging everyone else because they're doing the exercises wrong. Yeah. So it's one side of it, you expose something about yourself where you're like, I wouldn't care if I probably didn't care about that element myself. Second thing is like people just don't do it enough to get deconditioned. It's like the whole element of like discipline, or the whole element of like not snacking. It's like if you haven't tried to not snack and you haven't tried repetitively to do it, how can you say that you have the discipline not to snack? Yeah. You haven't tried. It's the same as the gym. It's like if you go every day for 21 days, by the 21st day, you will not feel the same way that you do in the first day. You just can't do. And the things that used to annoy you or used to get like pent up about, you're not even thinking about anymore. Yeah. Podcasting, the same thing. You're not even thinking about the cameras looking at you. You're having a conversation. Yeah. But the first time you do it, you're like knocking the mic over, hitting this, and worrying about if those are in the same position, or kicking your foot down to the table because you're nervous. But that's real life of doing something new. And I think most people who have that in the gym at the beginning, they have it anyway. But second, because they don't do new shit, they don't know what failing looks like. Yeah. So they haven't tried a new skill of Spanish, or I always use juggling as an example because no one's going to do it. But like, if you've not done anything new recently, especially if you're in your 30s and you've not done anything for a long time, you're just in this rut of like, working, going through the motions, kids, family members, cousins. When's the last time that you got told you suck? Yeah. Or had an exposure to being sucky at something? Yeah. You haven't had an opportunity to fail. So then, if you've not got a relationship with that in your 20s or your 30s, then you find something new and you're like, oh my God, I'm crap at this, or I do this, and then all of these floods of emotions start coming. So I think the best thing to do is just set yourself a target, and worst case scenario, if you really feel that way, all you do is just walk into the gym and you stand on the treadmill and you walk for 5 minutes, go home. Tomorrow you do 10 minutes, then 15 minutes. Then by the fourth day, you're saying hi to the person that you walked in with. You're grabbing a towel at the same time someone else is, and they're like, oh, hey, how you doing? Day number 6. You're probably having a full-blown conversation with the person next to you on the treadmill. You might see your mate just come in. Day number 12, day number 13. You're at the same time going in with the same people, having conversations. By day number 21, you've got two best mates going for coffee with this one, and you're taking your kids somewhere else. You know, I think that's the exposure therapy that most people, but they don't want to learn that they have this kind of feeling.
Yeah, it's the comfort zone, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're just stuck in that circle, and it's like you're content. It's just about being content. Like, I'm just content with how I am. I'm content with my problems. It comes back to a bit to accountability and stuff. And like you said, like the gym culture, I've noticed, because I've been so up and down in the last 10 years, my best results have come with my friends. I'm going with someone. I was lucky enough, I had a set of friends who would go to the gym. I didn't have to make new friends, but if that is the case, then you're always going to find someone. Like, I'm at my gym right now, I didn't know anyone at the start. You just go there, you see the same guy, because I just go at like 3:30 or something when like it's quiet and stuff, and I see the same guy, and he's literally about 55, but he's benching like 100, deadlifting 200, and you just make conversation, and that culture is there. I think there is this preconceived notion of meatheads in the gym worrying about themselves. Maybe you might have seen that on movies and stuff, and maybe a one or two. It happens every gym. You might get that, but the general culture in a gym is a very supportive culture. You tell someone, "Oh, can I jump in?" They'll be like, "Yeah, cool. Jump in with me and let's do the weights together." But no, definitely.
You just haven't been enough to find that out.
Exactly. Yeah. So and I think that's rounds it off pretty well, the gym side of it. One thing we do like to do is we have a signature section at the end of the podcast. So the first question is, this is the Brick by Brick podcast. Bricks are known for being foundations, sustainable foundations. What is the biggest foundation in your life that has made you who you are today? What is your most important brick?
Oh,
bit of a deep question.
That's so I think I've never done things that I'm not passionate about once I found that one thing. So I think that's the foundation. The foundation is like, I've got an idea of what I want to do. I like it. I'm just going to do it. And that's kind of got me where I am. Dubai, business, opportunities, just because I said yes to everything as well.
Yeah. Your passion is just what will set you far. Yeah, 100%. I think same with me. Like when you're looking for a job and stuff, and like you just want to work, you just want to be passionate about what you do. And then like when you're not in a place of passion, then I guess it becomes a job. Like there's that saying, once you enjoy what you do, it doesn't feel like work. And same with this. Like I guess that because it's like dad's company and stuff, you have that little bit of extra passion towards it and stuff. So we're a bit lucky like that. So definitely get it. We also told you to bring in one item of value that is personal to you. So what is that item?
Watch. It's about 50 quid watch, but it was my granddad's. So I'm not a big family person, or have never been a family person, but I think it's important to create reminders for the things that you often forget that are super important. Like life goes by very, very quickly. Things happen, and I've been away for a while. Obviously, I haven't lived at home since I was like 18. So I haven't been able to do that. So basically, I use this as a reminder for family because I'm away from them all of the time. Yeah. So, you know, I could get a Rolly or a AP or whatever, but like a kettle or whatever. But like, I prefer something that's 50 quid. That's from our family. That is like, it's what reminds me and triggers me to go, I probably need to call my mum or my dad or my auntie. Yeah. Because you forget things.
100%. Yeah. No, it's nice to hear. And the last part of our signature question is
our
mystery bowl. Okay. It's one of these. You've probably seen these in Indian households, the standard bowl. Yeah. And then if you can pick a question from there and read it out loud.
Oh, got two. If you owned a boat, ship, or yacht, what would you call it? That's like a Christmas crackle, isn't it? What would I call it?
You're in Dubai. Bright seas. Bright sun. Blue seas.
What would I call it? SS. Oh. I'm trying to think. Do you remember the one, there was a TV program back in the day that used to have Rosie and Jim. Do you remember Rosie and Jim? That's an old school one too, like the old one, 31. We'll call it, I guess an easy cop-out is Autonomy one, isn't it? But let's call it the SSS. You don't want to name it after yourself either, do you?
Nah,
like the
yeah.
SSS what Johnson, Big Johnson, you know.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
Yeah, I'll call it we're gonna call it the Big Johnson.
The Big Johnson.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Cool. And I think that's pretty much it. It's been quality. I think especially I guess for younger people, we've got like social media and we've got this whole body image sort of thing. So sometimes we look out for the information, but I think the older generation can definitely benefit because maybe they haven't looked for it, and because the information's there, you're there, your team of Autonomy is all there, and specializing in South Asians is I think is quality. I think we definitely have a problem there, and you're the problem solver there. So cheers for coming. Definitely appreciate it. It's been great. There's a lot of gems in here, and I think that we'll get a lot of good sound bites and a lot of lessons learned from here. Even for myself, I've been trying to do this for 10 years. I still learn more in 90 minutes than I have done in the last 10 years. So it's been quality. Cheers for that.
Thank you.
And a big thank you to Nathan, and his handles will be in the description below. His Instagram, his YouTube channel. He's got so much information out there that you can benefit from. If you're interested in sculpting your body, losing a bit of weight, get in touch with Nathan. The link is For Autonomy is in his Instagram profile, but we'll put that below as well, and you can sign up, you can get involved, and you can see yourself in better light in the future. So take care, everyone. Thank you for listening.